Let's just get out of the garage here. Gotta duck my head a little bit. What's going on, everybody? We're finally tackling a project that's been a long time coming, and it's at my house. So I'm dressed a little more casual, but I got the 350 and the CTX 160 here because we might have to make a few trips to get some supplies, but I'm hoping not. I think I brought everything home. They say contractors are the worst at when it comes to working on their own house, and I am proving that fact to be true. We had a devastating storm come through in the early spring. We lost a lot of trees, uprooted several, and today we're going to do some backfilling with the CTX 160, and we're going to show everyone how you can tackle a small project, and maybe you might need to rent a CTX 160, and this could be a good tutorial on how to do everything once you get that machine home. Now the CTX 160 is set up with the grapple, so that's the first thing we got to change. So why don't we fire it up and swap that grapple out. Turn the key, let it warm up, go through its little checks. Fire it up. Let's give it a couple seconds. Gotta love it, fits through a small gate. Before we take this grapple off, we've got to move some of this debris real quick to get to the bucket. That's a big one right there. Full size. Grab some of these smaller logs. The butts even, it'll make it easier to pick them up. Oh, broke a rake handle. That's okay. Stash these over here. So you got your Vermeer grapple in what I like to call the storage mode. That's with the clamp fully closed. It's in a neutral position, so it's not tilted too far forward or too far to the back. And you got to disconnect the hydraulic hoses. The best way to disconnect the hydraulic hoses, because they do have some pressure on them, is to stand on the platform, turn the key to the first position, and then run the switch or the paddle that controls the third function hydraulics back very slowly. And after you've done that about maybe a dozen times, they should just come right off just like this with, I mean, very little effort. If not, you're gonna be fighting a lot of pressure. Now, what I like to do with my hoses is I like to take them and kind of put them in a circle and get the tips so they stick down and rest on it. Now we're gonna pull both of our pins, and I'll bring you in closer so you can see that. So these are your pins right here, and you just gotta, if they're greased properly, see how easy they fold? Two finger. I mean, I could probably do this one with one finger. I mean, just like that. It's that easy if they're greased properly. But so now you're disconnected from the hydraulics. You've removed the pins, and you can check the bottom here, and they are not poking through. And now we can go and set this attachment down somewhere out of the way, and let's put our bucket on. So to do that, once again, we're gonna need to fire up the skid steer. Wait for the weight to throttle sign to disappear. Give it a little bit of throttle. Let's go set this out of the way. Let's put it next to the log pile, because the next time we use it, it's most likely gonna be when we're moving some wood. Bucket on. Same thing, come in all the way down, and then as you need to, just kind of lift the boom up and then scoop your bucket by tilting it back. Now we're not on all the way, so let's find a little bit more of a level spot, maybe up here closer to the camera. So the bucket's not on all the way, so we're going to set the bucket back down by tilting it forward. We're going to lower our boom all the way down to the ground. We're going to drive into the bucket and slightly push forward so that we can square it up. And we are going to begin to curl back and lift in a very organized fashion, orchestrated, some might say. And now we're going to bounce it and give it a little test, make sure it's on there. We're going to flip these two pins back into place. They drop in so nice. Perfect. And then to double check, make sure our bucket's connected, we're going to tilt all the way forward and expose the pins. So the pins are now exposed and the pins are poking through the attachment plate, meaning that the bucket is now secured. So you're ready to operate. So what we got to do is prep the surface. And what that means is we're going to prep the surface by leveling out what we can existing, removing any large bricks or abnormalities that we don't want to try to grade around, or objects such like this piece of wood, a few of these rocks, and this remaining piece of stump, which we can probably get under and dig out. Once again, give it a second before we get after it. We're gonna lift our bucket up a little bit, give it a little RPM. We're running at about 1800. And we're gonna come in at a random height that's just off the ground, just to see what we're working with here. You can see we already are making contact. So now we kind of have a rough idea of where we want to be, at least this high with the bucket. We can kind of memorize that height. Look at that. We'll pop this little piece of wood out right here. Boom. Just like that. And you can do this very efficiently. Just kind of run the machine back and forth, setting the same grade along the entire thing, knocking down your extreme high spots. So look at that, into that stump there. Oh yeah, we can get that stump out. We're gonna have to dig around it a little bit, so let's just start doing that. Now this CTX 160 is on the bigger end of mini skids. So if you rent a smaller machine, maybe a Dingo or a Toro, boom. Use the weight of the machine. I'm a little more comfortable than most people on this because I run it. I've got, let's see, I'll tell you. I've got 147 hours of experience on this piece of equipment, and I've really got dialed in over the last, I'd say, 30 hours. I've really figured out exactly what I can do with this. And you can do stuff like pop out small stumps. And now we've moved that stump out. So let's clear our bucket. Let's try to sort out some of this unwanted debris. And now we're going to backtrack some of that dirt back into the hole. Just like that. We removed a stump that probably would have taken about 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half to manually dig around. And we're going to start setting that grade. And we're using the back of the bucket because it's a lot easier to see what we're cutting into. And you can actually use the blade of the bucket to cut the material and give yourself all the tools that are at your disposal. So let's idle the skid steer down real quick. Let's just throw out these pieces we don't want. Got another one right here. We're able to actually take that out by hand. So let's go throw these in the fire pit real quick. We'll let them dry out. We'll burn them later this week. You can burn stumps and roots, but if you live in a small neighborhood like I do, they can get a little smoky, so it's best to let them dry and give them a few days and just let them go. So we got that. Let's grab this old piece of 4x4. Put that off to the side. The 4x4 probably should go in the trash. Pressure treated wood burning stinks. Nobody likes that. But okay, we're back. Let's grab those other pieces. Once again, using the back side of the bucket, back side of the blade. All right, now let me set you up for a time lapse and I'll rough this in real quick. So we have finished prepping the whole area, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we've run the bucket at a very consistent height all the way across, while tracking in to find any soft spots, and we've removed things like this piece of flat stone, you know, some unwanted debris here and there that we can just very quickly rake out. And the whole site, for the most part, has been tracked in, and the reason you want to do that is so you can find any soft spots, because those soft spots aren't going to appear with just standard walking weight, but over time, as they settle, they'll get worse and worse. So if you track everything in, you can feel the machine where it goes low, and you can find those in and add extra fill and continue to track them in until you get to that top inch and a half where you're going to prep for seed, and you want to have a nice loamy soil top, so that way the seed can really establish some roots quickly and you can get a nice lawn in here in no time. Let's grab our broken rake handle that we smashed over. Let's just very quickly rake everything we don't want off to the side. And this is just sticks and twigs and some junk, unbroken down organic material that we just don't want to have to deal with when we go to put in seed. Oh, another rock. All the rocks and stuff, it's best I just chalk them off to the side. Rocks, bricks. Back in the day, they didn't really care what happened with the rest of the fill. Ooh, piece of rebar. So they would just kind of throw things in a hole and be like, oh, out of sight, out of mind. And so when I've done a lot of these projects back here, I have found some wild stuff. No, nothing cool, but you know, glass bottles, stuff like that they were like, oh, don't worry about it, it'll just break down. Well, it never did. And now I'm here dealing with it 50, 60 years later. All right, so now that we've got everything prepped, we got our material. And I just want to talk about material for a minute, because some people, they're material elitists, and they have access to the best premium stuff that's ever been made. I don't. This is my house. I'm willing to do it kind of a little bit cheaper. We're gonna have this with like the homeowner in mind. You don't have thousands of dollars. You rented your own machine. You're not hiring this out. So maybe you're using just what you got left around. And what I have left around is a mix of wood chips that we've chipped on job sites, piled up with old compost, extra little, like maybe 200-300 pounds of fill here and there, or topsoil left over from jobs. And I've let it sit for about a little bit over a year, and this is what's kind of broken down into a kind of woody but totally usable organic material that we can pack in and we can rake out the stuff that we don't want, and we can use it to fill in this whole site, regrade it and compact it in, and it'll be really good material for growing grass in. So we're gonna start on the low side first, which would be my right, and we're gonna use that for a couple reasons. One, it's gonna use the most material, and two, it's gonna take the longest to track in and compact it all. So let's get started. So this is about the end of the grade right here. We're just gonna dump, and we're gonna go get 2 or 3 scoops. So I'll be right back. Scoop number 2. So scoop number 3, we're gonna start working up on the high side. I try not to lift my material too high in the air until I'm closest to where I'm gonna dump it. Going over uneven ground with a load full of dirt can be a little unstable and risk tipping your machine over, so just be mindful of that. Bucket number 4. We're gonna dump it right back with this one on the low side here. We're gonna take this little pile of mulch and just use it as our barrier. So we can just blade the top off of that, set the bucket down, back drag the rest. Boop, boop. There we go, spread that old mulch out. We're not gonna use it, use that as some fill. Now, here's the part where I would say most people, here's where a lot of people make their mistake. They get really excited and they think that they should just start bulldozing this over. You can do that, but you're gonna cause yourself a lot of work. In my opinion, the best way to do would be to start small. We're gonna start on this lowest grade here, and we're just gonna kind of back drag some of the material and blade it off the top. If you can get to the low side, sometimes you won't be able to. So we're just gonna blade some of this off the top down to here. Try to even out this material a little bit. We're using the back of the bucket. So there we go. That's a lot better. And now the material's a little bit more evenly spread out. And we're gonna come in at a really high height. So we wanna make sure the bucket's flat. And we're just gonna take the top couple inches off, and we're gonna run it right where the edge of the grade's gonna be. Because remember, this low side of the track, we're probably 5 inches lower than the left side. So we have to account for that, and that's where we're gonna dump this extra material here on my right. And then we're gonna set that bucket back to the original height. Kinda high, come in. Okay, we go till now we're gonna, when we back drag, we're gonna go with it just touching the material. That's too much. There we go, and we're gonna just back drag this off. And again, all we're doing is evening it out. So we're gonna go back up to the top of the pile, go till the material touches, and just start back dragging and leveling this off very slowly. We haven't water drains off, but I don't want it to be so extreme where it's either difficult to mow or the fence height isn't super even all the way around. So now that we've done that, we're going to take maybe 6 inches out of the pile to the right, and we're just going to keep the bucket high and just start back dragging a little bit off. There we go. It's tempting to bulldoze. You don't want to bulldoze in these small machines. The bucket fills up really fast. It's a lot easier to back drag and let the bucket spread your material out for you. And we're kind of sifting some of this other stuff out. We can just take our foot basically just bang, throw that junk that we don't want out of there. And again, we're gonna come in real slow. Good ground pressure, making contact the whole way across. And we're taking the most minute amount of material off. All right, let's stop. Let's let you guys see it from this side. Okay, you see how level this is? And you see how we've just started bringing up this side of the grade. We're using that mulch as kind of like our border. We don't want to go past that because we get into the weeds. And we're just gonna probably put 1 or 2 more scoops over here after we track this in. And we're actually gonna pull this material back down just a little bit and kind of blend that off, and then maybe 1 more bucket over here, or maybe 2, and probably maybe half a scoop up top as we kind of blend it all together. And I just want to show you what our bucket is at. It is not on the ground. It is ever so slightly up. We actually have it tilted back. We're using the back part of the bucket to do the grading for us, and just the weight of the machine, and going slow and setting it low and taking our time. Low and slow, just like you're smoking, guys. Just like smoking barbecue. So what we've done here, while we've paused the time lapse, and we'll get back to that in a second of us wrapping up this project, is we've done what's basically called a lift. So we've brought in an X amount of dirt for our square footage that we're using, whatever your soil calculator might tell you to use. And we've gone up a small percentage, approximately 2 to 3 inches, and we have compacted it in with the machine's weight. And if you need a little more weight, just grab another scoop of dirt while you're compacting and use that little bit extra weight of the machine to help pack it in. Because you figure your bucket's probably gonna add between 500 to 700 pounds, depending on the type of machine you have. And we have tracked this in, and we've compacted it so it's more stable and it won't erode if like a light rain comes in, or we have a little bit of shift in the soil for more movement with the machine on top. Things won't kind of like track and push out. If you have a massive rainstorm, several inches of rain, yeah, you're gonna have some washout, but for most things, this is gonna be just fine. But let's set you back up. Let's grab about a dozen more scoops, spread everything out, and get it buttoned up. And just like that, we have completed our rough grading project. Well, that's it for me. Let me take a walk up to the top and show you what we're done with. Not too bad. So the new fence is gonna run off where I'm about standing. We're gonna put a small gate in right here. It's gonna run straight back toward where the machine is. We still have a couple of small holes like this one and the one that I put a shovel in. But overall, this project's wrapped up. It's, I would say, 85% finished. Once the fence installers come in with their mini skid, they're gonna have an auger on the front of it. They drill a few holes, pour some concrete, settle the posts, stretch the fence. Then we'll come in, we'll bring a couple of tons of topsoil and we'll level off these little areas up against the yard. We'll top dress everything, seed it, put our compost in, set up our irrigation, and before you know it, we'll have our lawn back. But as always, leave a comment if you have any questions, like this video, and please subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll be doing probably a whole series on why you should buy a mini skid, or maybe we'll call it how to convince your wife to let you rent or buy a mini skid for your homeowner projects. But there's a lot of opportunities if you're a homeowner and you want to rent one of these and you can get a grapple attachment for it in a bucket, you could process all your downed trees, you can regrade your property, maybe touch up your gravel driveway, help fill a dumpster with junk that's on your property. I mean, the opportunities are totally endless. They're great for small demo, things like that, but if you're in the market or have a lot of questions on a mini skid, drop them below and I'll do my best to answer what I can. And we'll see you on the next job site.